So a smartphone company just built a car that sells out in hours. A gun maker tried to compete with Tesla. And Sony, yeah, the PlayStation people, are putting 40 sensors and a gaming engine in a sedan. What could possibly go wrong? Or what could go incredibly right? Stick around, because what happens when companies that have zero business making cars decide to build one anyway is absolutely wild. And honestly, some of these are better than what the actual car companies are doing. Here's the thing about the car industry. It used to be this exclusive club. You needed decades of experience, massive factories, supply chains that stretched around the globe. But then something shifted. Technology became the most expensive part of a car. Software, sensors, batteries, AI. Suddenly tech companies looked around and thought, wait, we already know how to do all of that. And they weren't wrong. In 2025, we're seeing an absolute explosion of outsiders jumping into the automotive world. Some fail spectacularly. Others, they're making traditional automakers sweat. Today on Carretera, we're diving into the most fascinating, ambitious, and sometimes hilariously unexpected cars ever built by companies that had no business building them. Let's get into it. Let's kick things off with one of the most hyped collaborations in recent memory, the Sony-Honda Afeela One. And no, that's not a typo. It's actually called Afeela. The names, well, let's just say marketing wasn't their strongest suit. But here's where it gets interesting. Sony, a company famous for PlayStations, cameras, and headphones, teamed up with Honda, who actually knows how to build cars. The result? A vehicle that genuinely feels like a rolling entertainment system with wheels. And I mean that in the best way possible. Picture this, over 40 sensors scattered across the car, constantly feeding data. An Epic Games-powered digital cockpit. The same tech behind Fortnite and Unreal Engine, creating graphics that make most car displays look like they're from 2005. There's an augmented reality heads-up display that projects navigation and info directly onto the windshield. And the whole thing runs on a dual-motor all-wheel drive system. Sony didn't just slap their logo on a Honda. They brought their entire entertainment and tech philosophy into the automotive space. The car's been in pre-production at Honda's Ohio plant, and reservations opened earlier this year in California. We're talking $90,000 for the base Origin trim and over $100,000 for the fully loaded Signature version. Deliveries are set to start mid-2026. But here's the kicker. Sony even added the Afeela One to Gran Turismo 7. You can literally drive this car in a video game before you can drive it on the road. That's the most Sony thing ever. The big question? Can a tech company known for entertainment make a car that's actually good to drive? Or will it just be a really expensive gadget on wheels? We're about to find out. But Sony is not the first outsider to try this. Not even close. Let's rewind a bit. Back in the late 90s, Swatch, yes, the colorful plastic watch company, had a wild idea. Their CEO, Nicholas Hayek, looked at cars and thought, these should be fun and stylish, just like our watches. Bold, maybe a little naive, but he partnered with Mercedes-Benz. And together, they created the Smart Fortwo. Now, if you've ever seen one of those tiny two-seater cars that look like they'd lose a fight with a shopping cart, that's the Smart. But here's the thing. It was an instant hit. 35,000 pre-orders right after the unveiling. People loved the idea of a car that was basically a fashion accessory you could park anywhere. It proved something important. You don't need decades of automotive heritage to understand what people want. Sometimes fresh eyes see opportunities the old guard misses. Then there's Yamaha. Now, most people know them for motorcycles and musical instruments, pianos, guitars, drums, and dirt bikes. But what you might not know is that Yamaha has been the secret genius behind some of the most legendary car engines ever made. The Toyota 2000 GT, Yamaha. The screaming V10 in the Lexus LFA, also Yamaha. So when they decided to build their own car, the OX99-11, they didn't mess around. This thing had a Formula One-derived V12 engine. It was designed to rival the McLaren F1 in performance. We're talking supercar territory, genuine race-bred engineering packed into a road-legal machine. But here's the cruel twist. The project launched right as a recession hit. The market for six-figure supercars disappeared overnight, and Yamaha shelved the whole thing. Only a handful of prototypes were ever built. Imagine what could have been. Now let's talk about the companies that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. KTM is known for dirt bikes, motocross, off-road chaos. So when they unveiled the Expo in 2008, people were confused. This wasn't a motorcycle. It wasn't even motorcycle adjacent. It was a bare carbon fiber track weapon with an Audi engine, barely any bodywork, and a driving experience that felt more like strapping yourself to a rocket than sitting in a car. And it was road legal. The Expo was raw, minimalist, and completely insane. No roof, no doors, just you, a 4-cylinder engine, and the road. Later, they even evolved it into a 500-horsepower coupe version for people who wanted slightly more comfort with their chaos. KTM proved that if you understand performance and engineering, the platform doesn't really matter. 2 wheels, 4 wheels, speed is speed. But if you want to talk about unexpected, let's discuss Ineos. This is a chemical company. They make industrial products, plastics, solvents, petrochemicals, the stuff you've never heard of but is probably in half the products in your house. Their founder, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, is a British billionaire who loves off-roading. When Land Rover redesigned the Defender and made it more luxurious and tech-focused, he was furious. He wanted the old-school, rugged, go-anywhere simplicity. So he did what any rational billionaire would do. He decided to build his own. The result? The Ineos Grenadier. It uses BMW engines, but almost everything else was designed in-house. It's a proper, old-school utility vehicle. Body-on-frame construction, mechanical simplicity, built to be fixed with a wrench in the middle of nowhere. It's the anti-modern SUV, and people love it for that. Then Ineos doubled down and built the Fusilier, a modern electric off-roader. It's offered as a pure EV or with a range extender, and they're even testing hydrogen prototypes. They took the lessons from the Grenadier and pushed into the future. Not bad for a chemical company. Oh, and speaking of unexpected companies, remember Kalashnikov? The people who make the AK-47? Yeah, they tried to build an electric car. In 2018, they unveiled the CV1, a retro-styled EV with nearly 300 horsepower. They literally said it was designed to compete with Tesla, a gun manufacturer going after Elon Musk. You can't make this stuff up. Spoiler alert, it never made it past the concept stage. Turns out building firearms and building cars require very different skill sets. Who knew? All right, now we need to talk about what's happening in China. Because while Western companies are thinking about getting into the car game, Chinese tech giants are already dominating. Let's start with Xiaomi. You know them from smartphones, smart home devices, maybe even electric scooters. A few years ago, they announced they were building a car. People were skeptical, but in March 2024, they launched the SU7 sedan, and it instantly became one of the most successful EV launches in history. The base model has 300 horsepower. Respectable, but the SU7 Ultra? Over 1,500 horsepower. It set records at the Nürburgring. It features advanced aerodynamics, air suspension, and an affordable price point. When it went on sale, the entire 2024 production run sold out in one day. Not 1 week, 1 day. By 2025, Xiaomi had delivered over 100,000 vehicles and increased their annual sales target to 350,000 units. The SU7 Ultra sold 10,000 units in 2 hours. 2 hours! The waiting list for the Pro model is nearly a year long. Here's why this matters. Xiaomi didn't just build a car. They built an ecosystem. The car integrates with all their smart home products, their phones, their entire tech universe. They understood that modern buyers don't just want transportation, they want connectivity, software, and seamless integration. And they delivered it at a price traditional automakers couldn't match. Then there's Huawei. They're taking a different approach, partnering with existing automakers and providing the tech backbone. It's genius, actually. They don't have to build factories or manage production. They just bring the software, sensors, AI, and connectivity. With Chery, they created the Luxeed S7. It's built on an 800-volt platform, offers up to 850 kilometers of range, does 0 to 100 in 3.3 seconds, and runs Harmony OS, Huawei's operating system, for the entire cockpit. It's basically a smartphone that happens to have 4 wheels. With JAC, Huawei went even more ambitious with the Maestro S800. This isn't targeting regular buyers. This is aimed directly at Maybach and Rolls-Royce customers. It's a massive executive sedan with AI-powered features and luxury that rivals anything from traditional premium brands. And then there's the 80 M9, a partnership with Cirrus. This is Huawei's flagship SUV, and it's absolutely loaded. Triple screen dashboard, a 52-inch augmented reality heads-up display, a 523 horsepower dual motor system, full Harmony OS integration. It's redefining what a luxury EV can be in China and making Western automakers extremely nervous. The message is clear. Chinese tech companies aren't playing around. They're moving fast, pricing aggressively, and building cars that are genuinely competitive with the best in the world. Now, not every tech company wants to build and sell cars. Some just want to experiment, push boundaries, and see what's possible. Take Foxconn, the company that assembles your iPhone. They created the Foxtron Model C SUV, designed by the legendary Italian design house Pininfarina. It's got over 300 miles of range, a sophisticated smart cockpit, and global ambitions. Even Mitsubishi is partnering with them to potentially export it. Foxconn sees the automotive industry the same way they see electronics: modular, scalable, and ready for mass production. NVIDIA built a fully autonomous race car called the Robocar. It uses their Drive AI platform, hits 300 kilometers per hour, and set records at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. It's not a production car. It's a rolling test bed for autonomous technology, but it shows what's possible when a chip company applies AI to motorsports. Google built the Firefly, a pod-like self-driving taxi prototype with no steering wheel or pedals. It never made it to production, but it influenced the entire autonomous vehicle industry. Sometimes the experiment is more valuable than the product. Even NASA got into the game with the lunar roving vehicle, the moon buggy. Okay, that's not technically a car company entering the space, but come on, NASA built a car for the moon. If that doesn't count as thinking outside the box, I don't know what does. Oh, and Samsung once rebadged Renaults and sold them in South Korea. And there was a washing machine company in Australia called Lightburn that built tiny cars in the 1960s. The point is, the line between car company and not car company has always been blurry. It's just way more blurred now. So why does any of this matter? Why should you care that Sony or Xiaomi or a chemical company is building cars? Because it's forcing the entire industry to evolve. For over a century, the automotive world was dominated by the same players. Ford, GM, Toyota, Volkswagen, they set the rules. They controlled the pace of innovation. They decided what features mattered and what didn't. And if we're being honest, that led to a lot of complacency. But when a smartphone company can build a car that sells out in hours, or when a tech giant can create a luxury EV that rivals Rolls-Royce, the old guard has to adapt or die. Think about it. Tesla proved that EVs could be desirable. Xiaomi proved they could be affordable and integrated into your digital life. Sony's proving they can be entertainment hubs. These aren't just cars anymore. They're platforms. They're ecosystems. They're experiences. Traditional automakers spent decades perfecting the mechanical side of vehicles. Engines, transmissions, suspension, handling. They're really good at that. But the new competition isn't about who builds the best engine. It's about who builds the best software, who creates the most seamless user experience, who integrates AI, connectivity, and autonomy most effectively. And that's where tech companies have a massive advantage. They've been doing this for years. They understand user interfaces. They understand data. They understand how to create products people don't just buy, they love. The result? We're seeing better cars, more innovative cars. Cars that actually reflect how people live in 2025, not 1995. Is every experiment going to succeed? Absolutely not. Remember Kalashnikov's electric car? Yeah, that went nowhere. But the attempts matter. The competition matters because it's pushing everyone to be better. The brands you know. Toyota's been making reliable cars for decades. BMW knows how to build a great driver's car. Mercedes understands luxury. But here's the reality. The best car for you in 2025 might come from a company that didn't exist in the automotive space 5 years ago. It might come from your smartphone manufacturer. It might come from the company that made your TV. It might come from a partnership you never saw coming. The Afeela One is hitting roads next year. Xiaomi's already delivered over 100,000 cars and they're just getting started. Huawei's tech is in multiple brands, redefining what a smart car can be. And we're only seeing the beginning. The automotive industry isn't dying, it's transforming. And the companies leading that transformation aren't always the ones you'd expect. So the next time someone tells you they bought a car from Sony or Xiaomi or a chemical company, maybe don't laugh, because they might be driving something genuinely incredible. What do you think? Would you trust a tech company to build your next car? Or are you sticking with the traditional brands? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious where people stand on this. And hey, if you made it this far and actually enjoyed learning about smartphone companies embarrassing Tesla and watch brands creating cult classic city cars, maybe hit that like button. Or don't. I'm not your boss. But if you want more deep dives into the weird, unexpected, and fascinating side of the car world, subscribe to Carretera. We've got plenty more coming. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.